Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Dominate the Great Voyage. Starting from Summoning 10 Espada. Chapter 26. Doberman is dead. Vice Admiral strikes back. Boom. Stepping on the pedals built by Reiatsu, Yami slammed down with a punch, and the main rail sail of the warship was directly blown up by the terrifying force and Reiatsu's outbreak. The power continued to increase with another punch, but the target was Marine Vice Admiral Doberman. Get out of the way. In the face of this terrifying punch that suddenly changed direction, Doberman and the others were still in a transformation that shocked Yami. Everyone was shocked by Yami's sudden and terrifying change. The reaction was a little slow, but Doberman still quickly cut out a few chop waves to resist, but he was still smashed by a punch and hit his body. Doberman was hit by this terrible punch, his eyes widened instantly, and he spat out a big mouthful of blood with a wow. Even if he used iron body and armament hockey, he was still driven into the cabin under the splint of the warship, and he had no idea how many bones were broken. Doberman Vice Admiral. All the Marines shouted in surprise, and a Marine Vice Admiral was killed in one move. Where did this horrible monster come from? The Vice President of the Four Emperors Pirates. Ha ha ha, the waste is really waste. Seeing that one of the people who had been besieging him just now was severely injured, Yami couldn't help laughing proudly. See clearly, lousy is the 0th Espada. The Espada Legion has never had a 10th Espada. It's been from 0 to 9. Make lousy even more angry. Ah, virtual bullet. Boom. In the wild laughter, it was another classic reappearance style self-exposure. After blowing a wave of himself, Yami waved his arms wildly, fists like shadows, and one after another false bullets were continuously shot. Even the dummies were affected, with a Jillian Manos Grande and a group of cannon fodder dummies being killed by indiscriminate bombardment along with a Marine Rear Admiral. What Ulquiorra 4th Espada, 1st Espada? It's just a bunch of junk. As long as he is angry enough, and the constant energy of anger is absorbed by him, he can continue to become stronger. Keep evolving. That's why he was chosen as the Zero Blade by Aizen and Hogyoku. Davy shook his head as he saw Yami, who had lost his mind again and became insane in the picture. Although this guy said that his talent was good, he was too brainless. With low IQ, few attack methods, and no absolute strength and defense, the recovery speed is basically equal to 0. Even if Yami's body size can be reduced for training in the future, the speed can be increased. But in the case of retaining the first few weaknesses, it is still a waste. However, for the high-end combat power of this world, Yami's angry beast returning to the blade is still quite troublesome. After all, in the original book, Yami under Ultimate's anger underwent an evolution and became a violent giant like a giant ape. Although it was eventually defeated by Byakuya Kuchiki and Kenpachi. As for the last two captains back, why did Shinigami say that although the two seemed to be fine, they were walking like normal people? But he was actually seriously injured. In the eyes of ordinary people, it seems that two people deal with Yami's injury, but in fact it is. It's just that after defeating Yami, the two continued the duel that was interrupted by Yami earlier. Poet Kubo was also afraid of hitting himself in the face, so he didn't show it clearly. Yami, the strongest Espada, is also the weakest Espada. There are only 4 Jillian Manos Grandes left in the field. The 4 Vice Admirals all joined forces to deal with the angry beast Yami. As for the remaining 4 Jillian Manos Grande, the Rear Admiral brought a large number of school-level officers to encircle and suppress them. If they don't control Yami, their Buster Call warship is not going to be completely destroyed. Even Doberman, who was seriously injured, stood up tremblingly and tenaciously. After using Life Return to recover some of his injuries, he rejoined the battle. 5 Marine Elites Vice Admirals Yami. Sero. Yami, who became huge again, ignored the damage of the siege, resisted the attack of the Vice Admirals, grew his mouth, and condensed and compressed Sero. It's this trick again, everyone, get out of the way. Faced with this move by Yami, the Vice Admirals turned pale and hurriedly used Shave to avoid Moonwalk. However, one person could only show despair because of his severe injuries, and was directly swallowed by the Red Sero. Boom. The warship was directly carried through. The Red Sero smashed into the sea, disappeared to the bottom of the sea with a Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, and then a huge wave engulfed the entire warship. Damn it. Doberman. Several Marine Vice Admirals' anger levels instantly filled up. Ah, ha ha ha, I'm vulnerable. Yami, who was laughing wildly, didn't notice that the flying squirrel fell from the sky. His eyes were red but full of majestic killing intent, and he slashed down. Flying glider sword style, splitting slash. Puff. Brainless idiot. High in the sky, Hannibal looked indifferent, looked at Yami who was suddenly in trouble, and couldn't help but scolded. Even with the title of Zeroth Espada, its strength is nothing more than that. It's time to end this farce. Hannibal pulled out the Zanpakuto hanging from the back waist and flew towards the Marines' battlefield. Oh, is Hannibal also joining the battle? In the palace hall, Davy looked at the graceful Hannibal, and some ideas suddenly popped into his mind. Perhaps, a wave of Hannibal's strength can be strengthened. Well, then call Hannibal to his bedroom at night after they come back from a great victory. ... Boom. Farther on the other side, Ulquiorra's battle with Pelusolino had reached a fever pitch. A high-intensity battle lasted for several hours, and Pulsolino's physical strength was consumed a lot. Compared to Ulquiorra's intact appearance, Pulsolino looked a little embarrassed. His yellow suit was tattered, and the cloak of justice behind him had long since disappeared. I said, little brother, why don't we just forget about it today? You can't help me, and I can't help you much. This time we Marine lost. How about a truce? Looking at Ulquiorra, who obviously could fight for a few more days and nights, Pulsolino really vomited. This immune-to-death monster is just too hard to deal with. If you deal fatal damage at one time, the opponent can regenerate limbs infinitely and recover all injuries. The enemy had clearly told him his weakness. Just destroying his internal organs and brain will kill him. But with the extremely fast speed of the opponent, that kind of speed is not called speed at all, it should be said to be a kind of ability skill, just like teleportation. And his observation haki also had trouble capturing Ulquiorra's movements, unpredictable. It is completely relying on the rich combat experience of the top powerhouses to fight. Although he still has the physical strength to fight with each other for days and nights, the problem is that the other Marines can't do it. In Kizaru's perception, the number of Marines is getting smaller and smaller, and not long ago, the number of people suddenly dropped by a lot. Pelusolino guessed that the female Espada who had been watching the play outside the venue also did it. That's why Pulsolino suddenly asked Ulquiorra to propose a truce, and directly said that Marine had lost and was ready to evacuate. Who can't help who? Indeed, with the current posture, it is indeed impossible to take down this extremely fast guy in a short period of time. Only, since that's the case, let's let you know. What is a true gesture of despair? Ulquiorra said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a black-green Reiatsu burst into the sky, madly gushing out of him. Ulquiorra's shape also began to change as Reiatsu continued to spew upwards. What followed was a sudden drop of an incomparably heavy coercion, covering the sea area dozens of miles in radius, and on the battlefield of warships dozens of miles away. All the Marines could feel this heavy and terrifying Reiatsu, as if there was an ocean above their heads. It slammed down and enveloped them. Many weak sailors were directly crushed, kneeling on the deck, and after fighting with all their strength for a while, they broke free from this terrifying heavy pressure. If it wasn't for the distance of dozens of nautical miles, I am afraid that under the shroud of this sudden terror Reiatsu, I don't know that some Marines will be directly crushed by the soul and die. It's that Ulquiorra guy. Yami snorted coldly after returning to her original state. Seeing Hannibal who had replaced his mission, he felt uneasy for a while. But this was also an order from His Majesty the King, and Yami had to hold back no matter how angry he was. Because His Majesty's order is absolute, he does not dare and does not want to disobey. Hey, isn't this a bit too much, little brother? Looking at Ulquiorra, who had transformed into a brand new look in front of him, Pulsolino was so shocked that his sunglasses were about to fall off. Once again transformed, the combat effectiveness has also improved visibly. At this moment, Pulsolino had an idea in his heart. Do you want to find the hidden Gecko Moria and bring St. Charles Rose back to life? Let him kill once, to vent the fire. After the second stage of returning to the sword, Ulquiorra's upper body clothes disappeared, and black liquid flowed from his eyes. The lower part of the black tear marks is too. The whites of the eyes turn green, and the pupils are similar to those of the mask hollow. The abdomen to the legs as well as the arms and back are covered with black feathers. The lower body of the robe is split in half and the wings are fully spread to reveal bat-like claws. The Reiatsu rain covering several miles gradually dissipated, and Ulquiorra appeared in front of Pulsolino with a new, more oppressive look compared to before. Second stage returning blade. Let you know what's wrong. Bang bang. In just an instant, Pulsolino's pupils shrank, and Ulquiorra flew straight from the front. With all his strength, Pulsolino reacted extremely quickly, and he was poised to attack Ulquiorra, who was approaching the front. However, when the buzzing sounded, Ulquiorra flew from his side, covered with one hand. Tiancong Cloud sword was directly pressed against his face, shattered with a snap, and his palm grabbed his head. Pulsolino was stunned, and without reacting at all, he let Ulquiorra press his head and dash straight to the sea, bursting with terrifying speed, pressing his head to rub against the sea. After pressing Pulsolino's head against the sea for 1,000 meters, Ulquiorra threw it away. The latter shot out like a cannonball, smashing into a small island of more than 10 square kilometers hundreds of miles away. With a loud bang, a golden light shone, and Pulsolino finally recovered from the extreme speed of Ulquiorra's terrifying power. Violent flashes erupted all over the body, forcibly stopping the body that was flying backwards with terrifying power. It's just that Pulsolino has just stabilized his body, and a bunch of black and green Sero is shooting at him, and it is close to him in the blink of an eye. Wang Shu's flash. In the face of this blow, Pulsolino did not dare to make a big choice to fight hard. Only a fool did that. Pulsolino's ugly incarnation light particle disappeared in place. The next moment, the small island of more than 10 square kilometers under his feet was directly destroyed by Wang Shu's flash. Boom! The black-green Reiatsu erupted, and the light of Wang Shu's flash burst formed a light wave that destroyed everything that passed by, illuminating the surrounding area for dozens of nautical miles. A few seconds later, the destruction light wave dissipated, and the small island of more than 10 square kilometers had been destroyed and turned into hundreds of drifters. Where is that guy? In the sky, Pulsolino was fully expanding the observation haki, not daring to make the slightest careless move. On weekdays, he was a fool, and his attitude was idle all day long, and his unreliable appearance disappeared, leaving only a serious expression. It's not that he doesn't want to throw away his old posture, but that the conditions do not allow it, and the enemy's terrifying is far beyond his imagination. Where are you looking? See. The black figure flashed by, and Pulsolino only felt a hot sting in his chest. Looking down, he saw that armament haki's body was wrapped around him, and 4 scratches had been torn open. Almost broke his flesh and smashed his bones and internal organs. Damn, this guy is really fast. I have no choice but to use this trick. Pulsolino's face was gloomy and uncertain. He gritted his teeth, and a dazzling golden light erupted from his whole body. As dusk approached night, it was also illuminated by this golden light shining like the sun. The battlefields of Halibal's Manos Grande legions and marines were illuminated at the same time, dozens of nautical miles away. The ultimate shine. Boom, boom. With an angry shout from Pulsolino, the golden light suddenly erupted, leaving only the golden light in the sky and the earth, followed by the violent explosion. Its persistent ringing in the ears. In the light, for a moment, Ulquiorra seemed to see a giant of light, stretched out his arms and shot at him with golden flashes. Thunder gun. Without the slightest hesitation, Ulquiorra closed his eyes, opened his probing nerves, turned his palms like a javelin, and held both Reiatsu spears tightly in his hands. Call out. Ulquiorra threw it hard to meet the light giant's flash. Bang bang. The sea surface was directly detonated by these two terrifying forces that collided with each other. When the two forces collided and intertwined for more than 10 seconds, the blue-green fluorescence skyrocketed, completely engulfing the golden light. After a while, the dazzling light of the collision disappeared, and the aftermath of the terrifying explosion calmed down. The sea area gradually recovered, but Ulquiorra's probing nerves discovered that Pulsolino had disappeared. Did you die in the explosion of the thunder gun? Ulquiorra whispered to himself, but soon, he understood. The phantom of the giant of light just now was Pulsolino's big move before he left, the purpose of which was to hold him back. After Pulsolino himself performed this move, he wisely chose to evacuate. Just as Ulquiorra was about to catch up at full speed, he suddenly sensed Davy's call. Yes, Your Majesty the King. Thank you, Your Majesty, you saved your life. Looking at the direction in which Pulsolino fled, Ulquiorra said indifferently. Then it also flew in that direction unhurriedly. Is this your true strength, monster? Puff wow. Pulsolino couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood and wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth, his face extremely ugly. After a battle, Pulsolino found that he didn't know when he was injured by the opponent, and it wasn't just his body that felt pain. More importantly, he even felt as if his own soul had been traumatized. So Pulsolino did not dare to fight Ulquiorra any longer. So for his own retreat, he used his own big move before leaving to buy time for himself and the Marines of Buster Call. This time, it was them Marine who defeated. He must now rush back and evacuate with all the surviving Marines. Otherwise, after a long time, they may even be in danger of being wiped out. After a while, Pulsolino, who rushed back to the Buster Call battlefield, felt bad. As he expected, the blonde woman who had been controlling the Manos Grandes to fight, also joined the battlefield. And the big guy who was slaughtering those Marines of the Colonel Rear Admiral rank. And in his observation hockey perception, Doberman's breath has completely disappeared, and he can't perceive Doberman's existence at all. Of the 10 top warships that launched the Buster Call, only 4 remain intact. The second is the blood that dyed this sea area red, the damaged splint of the warship, and the shattered parts are full of the corpses of Marines. In such a fierce battle, Pulsolino understood what it meant when a person's figure disappeared completely. At this moment, Pulsolino saw the blonde woman holding up the short and wide sword in her hand with an empty blade, and was about to stab the Burning Mountain Vice Admiral to death. Light speed kick. Seeing this, Pulsolino's eyelids jumped, and he hurriedly stopped watching. His body flashed, he came to Hannibal's side, kicked out his right leg, and was about to kick Hannibal away. This blow is almost his full blow. He wants to rely on the power of an instant burst to try to kill an Espada in a surprise attack. However, Pulsolino simply thought too much. Hannibal had already sensed that he had just rushed back here, and instantly counterattacked. Wang Shu's flash. The golden Sero of Reiatsu, which was secretly accumulated, was instantly formed, and was slashed out by Hannibal's sword. The corners of Pulsolino's mouth twitched slightly when he heard the name, and the light on his feet became more intense. Bang bang. The devastating energy collision exploded, and Pulsolino took advantage of this opportunity to quickly save Huo Shaoshan. And the warship under their feet was unfortunately completely scrapped. Marine, all retreat. In the sky, Pulsolino, who felt shivering and aching all over his body, finally made a choice. An order resounded throughout the sea, and all Marine who heard Pulsolino's retreat order gritted their teeth. Those goddamn monsters. Although they didn't want to evacuate, the situation in front of them clearly meant that Marine was defeated. If they don't make a choice to retreat, they will definitely lose and die. All staff, evacuate. Pulsolino's order to withdraw was heard by all the Marines, and the Marine generals saw Admiral giving the order to withdraw. They responded one after another, and relayed it several times, lest some Marines not hear it. Hey, is this about to run away? Yami, who was ordered by Hannibal to go to the other side's troopers, was upset. What do you mean? If you haven't had enough fun, you're about to run away. It's just that Marine's evacuation speed was very fast, and with Pulsolino entering the battle again, Hannibal was restrained. The Marines all retreated while fighting, and soon assembled on 4 warships, ready to evacuate. Who allowed you bastards to escape? Endless virtual bullets. Yami roared and returned to the blade again. The 100-meter giant appeared, and Yami smashed several colonels and hundreds of soldiers who were blocking him into serious injuries. Immediately after waving both fists, in just a few seconds, more than a dozen punches were thrown directly, and one by one, the virtual bullets were shot at the 4 warships. Evacuate at full speed. All block it. The flying squirrel Vice Admiral immediately stood up and used the moonwalk to fly into the sky, and countless slashing waves of sword light were cut out by him. There were constantly scarlet virtual bullets that he chopped in half and exploded. But soon, his body and soul were double wounded, he vomited blood, his body was stagnant, and his arm wielding the sword was suddenly cramped and weak. Damn. Boom. A virtual bullet hit the flying squirrel, and the flying squirrel, which was seriously injured and affected its movements, was hit and screamed in a violent explosion. Then it fell to a huge floating splint next to it. Conquer him. Queen of the King. Looking at Pulsolino who was blocking in front of him, buying time for his subordinates to escape. Hannibal's face sank, and he directly entered the state of returning to the blade. Seeing this, Pulsolino, who had seen Ulquiorra's transformation, also changed his face. In an instant, the incarnation light particles disappeared, and then came to the sky above Yami's body. He didn't give Hannibal a chance to return to the blade at all. Are you just releasing your abilities? Yami's infinite missing bullets really caused a lot of trouble for the Marines, and one of the evacuated warships had several holes blown out. Seeing that Hannibal's strength was about to increase significantly, Pulsolino went directly to the sky above Yami, ready to solve this shit first. 8-foot Chonguyu. Shish. Hundreds of thousands of light bullets exploded like a torrential rain. Yami didn't care about these gadgets at first, but after being hit a few times, he immediately became a shrinking turtle. Puff puff puff. The bullets hit Yami's massive body like a living target. Bastard. You bloody bug. Yami, who was enveloped in a steady stream of light bullets, roared angrily. Pulsolino was incompetent and furious when he could only watch Pulsolino running away after releasing a wave of his abilities. Want to escape. After Hannibal returned to the blade, he changed his previous hot image, and whether he was in front of the blade or behind the blade, he became extremely conservative. Just as he was about to use the ring to catch up, an indifferent voice suddenly came from behind him. Don't chase after the poor, there is no need for this. After the words fell, Ulquiorra, who had returned to his normal state, appeared behind Hannibal and Yami. What? Lousy is going to kill that wretched old man, I'll go. Yami roared angrily, refuting Ulquiorra directly, and turned to chase after him. Bang bang. Idiot. With your speed like a turtle, can you see the back of Marine Admiral? What's more, this is the order of His Majesty the King. A small sarro was thrown by Ulquiorra and hit Yami in the back. Damn it, Ulquiorra you bastard. Sarro's Yami, who was shot by Ulquiorra in the back, turned and glared at him. Enough. Since it's His Majesty's order, then grab those Marines back to the capital. Hannibal scolded, released the state of returning to the blade, and put Zanpakuto back in the scabbard behind his shoulders. Come here for lousy. Yami snorted angrily, and then walked towards the splint that the flying squirrel fell from after being seriously injured and comatose. He casually held the other party in his hand as if he was carrying a chicken. After this battle, only 3 of the 10 Jillian Manos Grande remained. There are only 100 or so cannon fodders left. The next scene, which is slightly funny, is that the 3 Jillian Manos Grande are like an ant who goes to the street to buy food. Grab the cabins of the warships after the warships were broken, threw all the living Marines into them, and then carried the cabins back to Konoma Island and Christie Kingdom. A buster call that received world attention was destroyed by the 3 Espada Corps. Inside the royal palace, Davy finally breathed a sigh of relief after watching all this. The whole person relaxed, and Ju lay on the throne. Ding! Congratulations on completing the mission. Your subordinates, the Espada Corps, successfully repelled the Marine buster call. Your subordinates annihilated more than 4,200 Marines, 1 Vice Admiral, 6 Rear Admiral, Colonel-level officers. You have obtained 7,577 origin points. You have completed the mission Rise of the Kingdom, and obtained 5,000 origin points, 10 Essence Soul Cores, and 1 silver rank designated summoning ticket. Because you completed the pre-quest Rise of the Kingdom, you have obtained the follow-up quest. Task 1, The King's Summoner's Journey. The Great King's Summoner's Journey will never end. Not enough. Not enough. Still not enough. Conquer all kingdoms and nations in this sea. Mission reward. 10,000 origin points, Platinum Summoning Pool unlocked, small, Haweko Mundo. Quote. Mission 2, The Majesty of the King. Let the people who provoke the majesty of your king suffer the punishment they deserve. Destroy Marine Branch X10, destroy Marine Base X5. Kill Marine Vice Admiral ×5, Marine Rear Admiral ×10. Mission reward. Espada Legion 5 to 9 blades, 5,000 origin points, killing Sister Assassination Organization, night attack. Quote. After a while, the continuous beeping sound of the system stopped abruptly, but Davy was stunned. What kind of quests are these? And the content and rewards of the quests are a bit outrageous. It seems that the king of himself still has to do it after all, and once he succeeds, he will be a dead end. As long as one of these 2 tasks is completed, the kingdom of Christie and himself will be heard all over the world. No, maybe his name should have been resounding all over the world by now. Of course, the most famous people should belong to Espada. 1-on-1, Ulquiorra knocked Marine Admiral Kizaru away. Yami and Hannibal led the Manos Grande Legion and destroyed the Buster Call fleet. Which is not a shocking event. However, these are not to be dealt with for the time being. Because Davy is starting to sort out his rewards. Now he has a total of 19,472 origin points, which is close to 20,000 origin points. Another issue is his strength. Now Davy's strength has reached the 4th level. Davy estimates that his Reiatsu is equivalent to Zhe Laoliu's level. Maybe a little higher. Davy clicks on his own panel properties. Open black lens bracket. Davy close black lens bracket. Occupation: Great Summoner of the Heavens, King. Kingdom: Christie Kingdom, LV1. Grade: 4th grade. Race: Human, Void Urankar. Characteristic: Talents: Summoning, Co-Devour Evolution, Shadow Manipulation. Abilities: Top Observation, Hockey, Foreseeing the Future, High-Speed Regeneration, Steel Skin, Loud Rotation, Common Vision, Void Cavity, Reiatsu Perception, Sero, Void Bullet. Click to view all. Equipped Weapon: Zanpakuto Black Wing Demon. Summon Familiar: Ulquiorra Cipher, Ghost Troopers, Tia Hannibal, Yami Yargo, Kookaburro, Mars Murphiza. Warehouse: Espada Zanpakuto ×2, All Attribute Enhancement Potion Advanced, King's Heart, Essence Soul Core ×10, Silver Rank Designated Summoning Ticket ×1, Rampage Potion, Golden Sand Eagle Pistol, Good Quick Knife 50 Works, Mamasigi Diwan. A set of original underwear. Open black lens bracket. Click to view all. Close black lens bracket. Origin point: 19,472. Comprehensive evaluation: Yo, I haven't seen you for a few days, the strength is growing very fast.